Hey, Happy New Year, everyone. It's Glenn Kellaway coming to you from the basement. It's January 1st, 2023. And it's time for the Vinyl Tag 2023. This is an annual event that happens in the vinyl community where a vinyl community member comes up with 20 questions or things to show or whatever, and it kind of comes through like wildfire. It's like everybody seems to participate in it. So this year it was started by one of the great guys in the vinyl community, Rob Walker. If you're not subscribed to Rob's channel, please go to Rob Walker's channel and give him a sub and watch his videos. He's great and really cool guy. Anyway, he came up with the 20 categories, questions, whatever you want to call them. So let's get started without further ado. I got a lot of stuff to go through here, it looks like. Thanks, Rob. Fave new release in 2022. Well, I'm going to say this wasn't in my top 10 because I didn't have it until a few days ago. But if I would have had it, it would have been a fave release because I am so impressed with this album. I can't believe it. Now I just got to find it. Where the hell did I put my records? Hold on a second. I got them. I got 20 things here, guys. I don't have a secretary. Spoon. Lucifer on the Sofa. Have you guys heard this album? It's fantastic. I watched a lot of best new releases of 2022 videos, and one thing that really impressed me was that everybody's list was different. Like, there's so much good music came out this year, and this is an album that totally this band's around since 1993. I've never heard of them, but this is one fantastic rock album. Lucifer on the Sofa. If you haven't heard it, check it out, man. These guys are from Austin, Texas. They rock. It's great album. So that's gonna be my fave release. Last band you saw live. Well, the last big concert I saw live was Jack White at I think they call it the Budweiser stage in Toronto. I can't remember. It's one of those open amphitheater things. My daughter got me a ticket and I went. It was a great show. I like Jack White. I like him even more now that I've seen him. He's a great performer, a great guitar player. This was an album he released last year that was in my top 3 albums of the year, entering Heaven Alive. Jack White. Got to see Mr. White live. First album was their best album. Big fan of this band. I ranked them as probably the 3rd or 4th best band of all time for me. King Crimson and their debut album, In the Court of the Crimson King, is one of the great debut albums of all time by any band, and big fan of that album. Oh, a hat trick. Show vinyl, cassette, CD, or album. So I don't have cassettes. What do you people who collect cassettes? I mean, we have indoor plumbing now. You can get that too. Cassettes. Come on. Cassettes. So I cheated a little bit so I could get a triplicate of something. The Beatles on vinyl. Help. Cassettes. The Beatles on Blu-ray video. The movie, Help. Cassettes. And the CD of Help. There, cassettes. Album that starts and ends with the same letter. So I'm going with an album I can never pronounce properly. Aoxo Moaxoa, The Grateful Dead. It's a palindrome. You know what a palindrome is? It's a word or a phrase, a sentence where it's spelt the same backwards or forwards. Aoxo Moaxoa is that way. Why won't it come into focus? Well, you get the point. Anyway, that puts that out of the way. What's next? Born in the Same Year as You. Well, the band that's really become one of my all-time favorite bands, and also this album I'm going to show you is in my top 5 albums of all time now. Andy Partridge, the great songwriter and human being from XTC, is my age, 69. And we'll both be 70 this year, Andy. English Settlement. This album a masterpiece. Absolutely love it. English Settlements. Okay, what's next? The most listened to album in 2022. Man, I I was trying to think of what albums have just been can't get out of my. David Bowie Low has been played a million times. This album too, so it was a toss up, but I'm going with another XTC album, The Black Sea. Larry Graves lent this to me on a CD exchange, and I just absolutely love it, and I've been playing the crap out of it ever since. Caravans in the Land of Grey and Pink, David Bowie Low. There's probably a couple of Frank Zappa albums. We'll go with that one. Most listened to artist in 2022. Speaking of Mr. Zappa, I'm going to go with Frank. I have, this year they've released so many great box sets from Frank. The Erie box set, which is all his performances over a 2 or 3 year span in Erie, Pennsylvania. Just recently released this Waka Jawaka 5-disc set, which I'm having a hard time getting out of my CD player. Fantastic set, just some incredible stuff on here. So Mr. Zappa, I would say, is taking up most of my time. An Australian band or artist, another band that I totally never paid any attention to all the years they were around. And this year I bought a couple of used CDs because I don't know who was talking about it, but just caught my interest, is Midnight Oil. And this album, Blue Sky Mining, is a really, really good album. These guys are really good. I just ignored them. I don't know why. But great band from Australia, Midnight Oil. Oh, surprising purchase of 2022, and I forgot to pull something, but I am going to go with an album I just purchased this week, John Coltrane, Blue Train. Now, surprising for me because I don't buy a ton of jazz albums, very few actually in comparison to other genres, and John Coltrane has not been my favorite jazz artist. I'm not a fan of Love Supreme, so I bought Blue Train, and I'm really digging it. It's a really good album. Blue Train, John Coltrane. Artist band you are complete on. There's a few of them, but let's go with Mr. D. Bob Dylan. Now, just to prove that I'm complete, here is the album collection, Volume 1. This takes us from 1962 to 2015 or 16 or whatever when Tempest came out. And then after that, the only releases are Rough and Rowdy Ways, which I have, and the 3 crooner albums, which I have. So I have definitely a Bob Dylan completist with all the bootleg series and whatever else. Definitely with Bob, I got a ton of stuff. Excuse me, my TV just popped on me here. Next. 80s soundtracks. Well, I'll tell you who did a ton of soundtracks. My favorite guitar player in the world, Ry Cooder. He did a lot of soundtracks in the 80s. But let's go, and this is a great box set. It's called Soundtracks. Very affordable. There's all the movies that are in here. The Long Riders, Paris, Texas, Alamo Bay, Crossroads, Blue City, Johnny Handsome, Trespass, and I am going with the great blues movie, Crossroads. This was such a fun movie. It's really cool. And the music in it's great. Ry Cooder, amazing guitar player, amazing talent, and great soundtrack composer. Okay, who did we lose in 2022? Lost a gem of a human being, one of my favorites. Mike Nesmith passed away in 2022. This is Mike Nesmith's box set with all his albums on it called Songs. Just an incredible box set. 12 discs of Mike Nesmith albums. The man was so talented and wrote so many great songs. And such a cool human being. Mike Nesmith. Rest in peace, Mike. Disappointing purchase in 2022. I am going with a band that I quite like. I'm a big Steven Wilson fan. I think everything he does is really good, but the new Porcupine Tree album. Now, the thing with this album, this is called Continuation, or Closure Continuation. Here's my problem. I bought it, liked it, and then it didn't have any staying power. I kind of got bored with it. It didn't grow on me. Usually these proggy type albums you have to listen to, and they get better and better. This one I liked right away, and then it got worse. It got predictable and samey and very polished, and it's almost like they had a formula for making Porcupine Tree albums, and they just said, oh, okay, well, let's stick this part in here, and this is the kind of thing should be here. It's very predictable, and unfortunately, I was disappointed. It's not a bad album. Just could have been better. We are at number 16 now. Non-vinyl purchase. I know I brought something with me. I didn't know what that meant. Does that mean a cassette? Nobody buys cassettes, so I couldn't do that. They have cars with automatic transmissions now too. It's amazing what you can get. CD players. Vinyls back in fashion. Cassettes. So I chose a book. I chose Frank Zappa, A Guide to the Recordings of The Big Note by Charles Ulrich. This book, an encyclopedia. Man, I don't know how this guy ever wrote this thing. This is incredible. This goes through every album, every song, every recording that Frank Zappa was involved in. If you know anything about Frank Zappa, he lived in the studio. I mean, this is incredible. The depth and the information in this book is just incredible. And what he did would, rather than go in chronological order of the albums, the way they were released, like Freak Out first and that, he went alphabetical, so it's easy to find them. So, apostrophes ahead of Freak Out, you know what I mean? But, man, what a great book. If you're into Zappa or you want to get into Zappa, buy this, The Big Note, Frank Zappa, the recordings of. Number 17, you found a grail. I did find a grail this year, but you would have to be a Bluegrass fan to appreciate it. If I say Rounder 0077 and you're a fan of Bluegrass records, you know right away that I picked up J.D. Crowe and the New South. This album on Rounder Records is one of the greatest Bluegrass albums ever made. And J.D. Crowe, Tony Rice, Ricky Skaggs, Jerry Douglas plays on this album. It's great. Rounder 0044. I said 0077. 0044. I apologize. What a great record. I found it mint for $7. This is a $50 record, fans. J.D. Crowe and the New South. Number 18. Space Theme album cover. Well, one of my favorite bands in the world, one of my musical heroes, Bela Fleck and the Flecktones, Flight of the Cosmic Hippo. Again, very rare vinyl, $100 record. Amazing album. It was up for Jazz Album of the Year when it came out. Got a flying saucer on it and a cosmic hippo and all kinds of rockets and stuff like that. So that's my space-themed record. Show some VCLT or a present. I knew I brought something with me to show. Where is it? I put it down somewhere. It's a King Crimson box set. And it's right here, fans. It can't... There it is. I knew I'd find it. King Crimson, in the court of the Crimson King, King Crimson at 50, a film by Toby Ames. This documentary is fantastic. You do not have to be a fan of King Crimson to appreciate this awesome documentary. Really, really worth seeing. I got the set from my wife for Christmas. It has the Blu-ray copy of the Blu-ray documentary. It has it on regular DVD video, and comes with 2 or 3 CDs of performances. Just a great box set, and thank you very much, honey, for this one. I love it. And last but not least, show an album released in 1973. That's 50 years ago now. Do you believe it? My favorite Who album came out in 1973, Quadrophenia. Great frickin' album. This is a OG on MCA Records. Fantastic album. The Who. Rob, thank you very much. I want to wish everybody a happy new year. Looking forward to seeing everyone's response to this thread. And we'll see you guys soon. Take care.